Hello everybody. Today I would like to talk about a very popular sensory activity which is offered to young infants and toddlers and even older children. This activity is called treasure basket. The idea dates back to 1940s when Eleanor Goldschmidt observed a group of young infants playing with natural and household objects. Essentially the treasure basket is a steady natural basket brimming full of treasures picked for their variety, sensory appeal, and interest. The objects in treasure basket should offer rich sensory appeal, open-ended play potential, and cross-cutting interest to children of different ages and interests. These attributes actually set treasure basket apart from conventional toys and hint at actually the personal, social, emotional, physical problem solving and creative benefits to be gained. According to Usher, sensory play is a play that provide opportunities for children and young people to use all their senses, or opportunity to use one of their particular senses. Sensory play is commonly accessed in the outdoor environment in some form of, like for example, sand, water play, and some sort of this. A treasure basket can actually the objects in treasure baskets are not are not toys. Like the outdoor environment, they offer limitless potential for open-ended play. Let me talk about the basket, how we can create a beautiful basket. Before we make a beautiful basket, it is very important to consider or to take into account some points. Our basket should be, according to Goldschmidt recommends that the basket should be not less than 40 inches in diameter and 4 to 5 inches high, without a handle, having a flat bottom. She suggests that our basket should be a circular basket because it is easier for infants to sit around, for 2 or 3 infants to sit around. And it should be made of a willow woven basket, and it should be a willow woven and also made of a natural or wicker material. A treasure basket should contain 50 to 100 objects, all picked for their appealing qualities and sensory appeal. According to Gascoigne, since sensory interest lies at the core of a treasure basket's appeal and it's key to its benefit, it is essential for objects to be selected with this in mind. There are some points before we adding the objects into our treasure baskets. The first thing is that the objects should be in a high quality condition. Especially any, for example, imperfections such as sharp edges, looks, fragments should be removed from the treasure basket. There shouldn't be any plastic or toy like objects in our basket. Try not to use food in treasure basket, or because they are not indoors, especially in New Zealand context. Fluffy materials are not allowed as they cannot be synthesized. This is especially important in these COVID times. Old medicine containers or nail polish are not permitted as these may contain toxic remnants. Given the location of New Zealand by the sea, many treasure baskets contain shells and other natural material. It will be more effective to remove any large metal objects or oversized objects, as the objects should be the hand size of infants and toddlers. It is suggested not to use baskets which are too deep for babies to reach into it, or basket which contain dangerous materials. It is better not to use baskets containing objects that are of little interest, or baskets that contain heavy objects such as paperweights or pebbles. In addition to this, our objects should be of different colors, textures, weight, temperature, and they should be made of metal like this, wooden one, leather one like this, fabric, rubber one like this. These are very important points to take, and the objects should make also that the objects should have different the baskets should have different objects which could make different sounds, for example like this one that I have used in my treasure basket, or something like this that I have used, and also smells, which is very important. We can put some lavender in a small bag, and when a child hold it, they can smell the odor of the lavender. It is not recommended to use food in our basket, and also it is good idea to use rigid items like this pumice. This is very, and also it is like a stone, and but not dangerous for child play. Now let's move on to theoretical frameworks behind this approach, or behind sensory play. As a matter of fact, turning to the senses, the theoretical context is less clear, with several theories recognizing the importance of sensory experience and environment. A key contributor to the development and understanding of sensory play was Jean Piaget. He believed that children's interaction with their environment create learning, and described the first stage in a child's development as the sensory motor stage. He also believed that baby needs to manipulate and explore interesting objects, which has obvious parallels with the types of objects and explorative play associated with a treasure basket. In the sensor motor stage, children build up a mental picture based on their sensory contact with their environment. They do this when they hold, feel, suck, listen to objects. Piaget suggested also that children's curiosity derives their learning, and that through exploration and symbolic play, such as making an imaginary meal from a pebble or playing spaceship in a cardboard box, they make sense of objects and the world. Another pioneer or another researcher called Maria Montessori also believed that children learn best through their senses, although not in a symbolic way. She argued that children have sensitive periods when their senses are ready to learn new ideas, and that if we spot these, we can best support children's development. She suggested that children's senses can confess in their intellect, and that adults have a role to play in offering and arranging an interesting and attractive environment. Although Piaget and Montessori were key in promoting sensorial environments, Interest in the senses started as early as 16th century when John Comenius recommended sensory experience rather than formal teaching for children. Um, Another pioneer or another researcher called Steiner recognized that children uh, learn from people and environments that surrounded them. There are, many other theories that I would like to talk about. However, due to time limitation, I refer to some of them, but you could find more about them uh, on your own pace. Now let's move on to sensory play continuum as a framework. Gascoigne developed the continuum, sensory play continuum as a framework for extending the use of treasure basket with infants, toddler, and older children. There are three stages in this play. The stage one, which is related to free play. In this stage, the question is, what is this object like? And children in this stage just play with objects, explore, mouthing them, handling them, and the adult's role is that they shouldn't intervene or offer resources or suggest uses for objects. They should not involve at all. There are no right or wrong way of playing with the object or objects in treasure baskets. And also the aim is to understand rather than judge play to avoid missing its potential. Stage 3 is called combining resources, which is the most important one because this stage is found to be most highly creative stage of play in observation, according to Papa Theodoran. In this stage, the treasure basket is often next to another resource such as sand, water, magnets, or mirror. In this stage, the child combine the objects from treasure basket with the resources available, and the adult role in this stage is indirect also. That they shouldn't involve in the child play, and success of this this stage highly depends on the practitioners to provide useful or engaging resources and also objects which could confirm to children's development, like and dislike. This is very important that the practitioners apply his or her imagination to provide the attractive and also enthralling resources and objects. So in this stage also the activity is child-led, and the adult is or just still have to stay away from child and just observe the child. In the third stage, which is called adult initiated play, the question is, what can it become? What object can it become? In this final stage of continuum involve using simple adult initiated activities with treasure basket objects. Although that it is initiated by adults, the child should take the lead of this activity, and it should turn into a joint or child-led activity instead. And adult role here is also very important because they should choose the activity and choose the activity based on the luck and dislike of the child, their level, their age, their interest. These are very important. And in this stage, children may question, they may also discover and think about the objects and the activities. The aim is for children to take ownership of the aim for this activity is to take the ownership of the activity rather than the adult retaining tight control. So practitioners should think carefully about how best to create an enabling environment by keeping the activity playful and fun. Now I would like to talk about the objects role, and the next section is about the next section is about the object role. Finding out, according to Garvey, finding out what things are and how they work and what to do with them occupies a great deal of attention and effort of the toddlers and young adults, and has close parallel with treasure basket play. The first role that objects could play is channel for social interaction. When a child, for example, offer an object to people around them, then around him or her, they can this object can provide opportunity for child to for social interaction. And also another important role of the object is exploration, familiarization, and understanding. Exploration is a cumulative process helping shape a child's concept of the world. Grafty notes that concepts of color, size, and properties are developed as the child explores different materials. Making the links to treasure basket play and explorer children can typically be seen exploring the objects with their hands and by mouthing them. Another role is representing feeling, interest, and consent. As I told you before, children that objects can serve as a link to they can provide the children with opportunities to express their feeling, emotions, interests, concerns. So this is very important role also. Another role is that object permanence. Piaget introduced the notion of object permanence when a child realized that an object still exists even when it cannot be seen, touched, or heard. Another role is qualitative and quantitative reasoning. There is a distinction between children's use of quantitative, for example, such as height, and qualitative reasoning strategies which involve relative information, such as an object is taller than another object. So with this information in mind, it is entirely possible for young babies to be developing their qualitative reasoning while exploring treasure basket object. Another role is specific rather than generalized learning. Research demonstrated how infants sort physical events into categories and learn separately how each category operates rather than generalizing information. This idea was developed by Largan and it has a very real implication for our understanding of children play and exploration, since object placed since to an infant children's play and exploration to an infant's objects placed side by side fall into a different category to the same objects stacked on top of each other. This has interesting ramification again for treasure basket play, as simply repositioning the same objects in a basket alongside other objects might change the categorization and thinking about that object. The last point I would like to tell you about the role of object is experiential learning. You know, what is experiential learning? Offering children sufficient experience is vital if they are to encounter the unexpected outcomes which reshape and evolve their initially simplistic rules. Uh, According to Byler John, put in this way, it is easy to see how offering open-ended objects can help infants create and reshape information, categorize them, and this also, and fans also increasingly predict outcomes because they develop a series of conditioned outcome rules. This was a brief explanation about treasure baskets and theories behind this interesting activity. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Bye.